All right, the next step before we get to the clarity of your film direction is to look at your past work, right? Why do we want to do this? It's essential to look at your past work as a creator to find out where you've been, and that will in turn create more understanding of where you're going, the progress that you've made. Looking at your own artwork is essential because it allows you to create a list of what is working and what is not working, the same exact way that you need to do your own research and development on other creators and find out what's working and what's not working. You also need to look at your own work and find out what you were doing right and what you were doing wrong, right? And finding positive ways for you to progress, okay? Failures are layers for your success to build on top of, right? You can't go from day one shooting your first film to day two shooting an incredible commercial for a high-end client. It doesn't work that way. There's a certain stair-stepping process to get to some place, right? The whole part of getting somewhere is the distance that's traveled from point A, where you are, point B, to where you want to go, or to the incredible film that you want to create, right? So hiking, you know, the world's tallest mountains, that Mount Everest, that all the people are dying on or have died on. Imagine if that lengthy multi-mile hike was simply as easy as just doing this. There's no distance traveled between point A, where you are, and then point B, where you want to go. It was simply one step. So there's no fulfillment, and there's no progress, and there's no building on top of that. It's simply the distance between these two steps that actually makes it worthwhile. If the distance for that hike was this small distance, you wouldn't have people dying to want that fulfillment and to want to achieve the goal that they set out to do, to hike such the long failure path. This is a part that we have to understand is simply a process of development, and that failure is an essential tool for your success to build on top of. Woo! So with that said, I created an excellent document for you guys, which you need to download right now, for remixing and improving your past work. Basically, this document breaks down for you very simply, looking at your past projects, how is it affecting you looking back on it now? Like, what are your first impressions? What's working, what's not working? How's the title? Okay, is it a really good title that works and that it's drawing and that it wants to create a sense of curiosity in the viewer, or is it not such a good title, right? Let's be honest with ourselves, but find ways to positively improve so that the films that we're making are not staying at the same level of production value or the same level of experience. We need to be growing. We need to take what we have now, could be a $400 point and shoot camera, and we need to grow so that in a year, in 2 years, we're seeing how we can make the next steps of moving to where we want to go. So looking at the title, looking at the concept, okay, was it a good concept that was interesting and drawing and provoking, or was it not a good concept? The execution of that concept, the production value, right? The editing, the post-production, the most important part that we will go into very in depth. The overall delivery, right? How is the overall project as its own entity or as its own whole? How is that, taken in from looking back into the project after not seeing it for so long? We tend to have fresh eyes and see, oh, okay, wow, this really is not working, or okay, you know what, there's something that I possibly have a talent for, whether it's creating a certain aesthetic or it's documentary style or music video style. We need to look at our past work so that we can remix what we've done and improve upon that. Nothing in this world is original. It's very much a remix. It's the perfect analogy or metaphor that what you're creating now is simply built up memory, right? Information, content of the art that you've seen previously. All the videos and films that you've seen before, there's no camera like the Red Cam that was created out of the blue. It was a slow process of film back in the day when you had to do an exposure for an hour to expose on a piece of glass, and people in their portraits had to stand extremely still to get a self-portrait. And then the years go by and people remix that old concept and the technology of what a camera once was. It was a slow process of remixing and evolution. And there's no difference between that and your work. Whew. Need a water break.